make a note first. 3 men and 2 women. Okay, we have 3 men and 2 women. 2 persons are selected at random. Okay, the selection is 2. First thing, solution part lo మీ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే టోటల్ అవుట్కమ్ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఎన్ ఆఫ్ ఎస్ విచ్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ 5C2 కరెక్టా. సో 5 మెంబర్స్ ఉన్నారు, 3 men and 2 women. సో ఇందులో 5 మెంబర్స్, ఈ 5 మెంబర్స్ టోటల్ 5 మెంబర్స్, ఇందులో మీరు 2 మెంబర్స్ని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం విచ్ ఇస్ 5C2. బట్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఏంటి చూద్దాం. 2 మెంబర్స్ ఆర్ సెలెక్టెడ్ అట్ ర్యాండమ్. ఓకే, ప్రాబబిలిటీ, పర్టికులర్ ప్రాబబిలిటీకి ఏం రిక్వైర్మెంట్, ఫైండ్ ద ప్రాబబిలిటీ దట్ అట్లీస్ట్ 1 woman is సెలెక్టెడ్. సో ఈ ఇద్దరిలో డెఫినెట్గా ఒక ఉమెన్ ఉండాలి అన్నప్పుడు ఓకే. సో ఇక్కడ మల్టిపుల్ కేసెస్ వస్తుంది కరెక్టా. ఈ మల్టిపుల్ కేసెస్ ఏంటి అంటే, సో అట్లీస్ట్ 1 woman సెలెక్టెడ్ అంటే మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఒక ఉమెన్ కానీ ఉండొచ్చు, లేదు ఇద్దరు కానీ ఉండొచ్చు, అవునా. సో ఓకే, దీన్ని ఎలా, నీ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఎలా నోట్ చేసుకోవాలి అనేది చూసినట్లయితే, సో హియర్ అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అంటే అట్లీస్ట్ 1, లేదు అంటే 2. సో అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అయినప్పుడు ఎలా ఉంటుంది సెలెక్షన్ అనేది చూస్తాం. సి ఓకే, అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అయినప్పుడు ఎలా ఉంటుంది అండ్ 2 మ్యాక్సిమం, అంతే కదా. సో 2, ఇక్కడ 3 లేదు. 3 ఎందుకు లేదంటే వీ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ అంతమంది విమెన్ కౌంట్ మనకు లేదు. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేసేది కూడా ఇద్దరు మాత్రమే. సో ఇక్కడ అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అంటే మీకు ఛాన్సెస్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది అంటే 1 woman, ఓన్లీ 1 woman సెలెక్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు ప్రాబబిలిటీ ఎలా ఉంటుంది అనేది కూడా యాడ్ చేసుకోవాలి. 2 women సెలెక్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు ప్రాబబిలిటీ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, ఈ 2 కేసెస్ మీరు కన్సిడర్ చేసుకోవాలి. ట్రై టు అండర్స్టాండ్. ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నారు, ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసేటప్పుడు అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అని చెప్తే, అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అంటే మినిమం 1 అని, మ్యాక్సిమం 2 అని, అంటే టోటల్ ఎంటిటీస్ 2 అయినప్పుడు. సో ఓన్లీ 1 woman అన్నప్పుడు మీ కండిషన్ కూడా చెక్ చేసుకోవాలి, 2 womenకి కూడా మీరు కండిషన్ చెక్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఓన్లీ 1 woman అంటే ఏమవుతుంది చూసినట్లయితే, లెట్స్ సే మెన్లో నుంచి ఒకరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నా అండ్ విమెన్ల నుండి ఒకరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నా. సో 3C1 into 2C1, అవునా. సో 3C1 into 2C1 అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటంటే ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ 5 మెంబర్స్, టోటల్గా 5 మెంబర్స్. ఓకే, ఈ 5 మెంబర్స్లో ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాను. బట్ వాళ్ళు నాకు ఎలా ఉంటున్నారంటే, ఫస్ట్ వెరైటీలో ఫస్ట్ టైప్లో మీరు చూసినట్టయితే ఈ 3 మెంబర్స్లో ఒక ఈ 3 మెంబర్స్ నుంచి ఒకటి, అండ్ ఈ 3 మెన్లో నుండి ఒకరు, అండ్ దెన్ ఈ 2 women నుండి ఒకరు. ఓకే, లేదు 2 womenని అని చూసినట్లయితే ఇక్కడ ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ఓన్లీ 2C2 డైరెక్ట్లీ. ఎందుకంటే ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ 2 women మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేసేది టోటల్గా ఇద్దరే. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ 2 women వీ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ ఛాన్స్ టు సెలెక్ట్ ఎనీ మెన్. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది అని మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఇట్స్ గోయింగ్ టు బి 3C1 into 2C1 కరెక్ట్ ప్లస్ 2C2 అంతే. సో ఇద్దరు women ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. ఇట్స్ 2C2 ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ 1 way కరెక్ట్. సో ప్రాబబిలిటీ ఏంటి అని మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి 3C1 into 2C1 ఓకే ప్లస్ 2C2. ఇది నా మై ఫేవరెట్, మై రిక్వైర్మెంట్. అండ్ టోటల్ చూసినట్లయితే 5C2. దాట్స్ ఇట్. సో అట్లీస్ట్ 1 ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేసేటప్పుడు అట్లీస్ట్ 1 అయితే మీరు ఒక కేసుని తీసుకోవాలి. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఇద్దరిని సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తే కూడా ఏమవుతుంది తీసుకోవాలి. ఫస్ట్ నేను ఓన్లీ 1 woman అని చెప్పాను. ఓన్లీ 1 woman అంటే ఒక మెన్ ఒక విమెన్. సో ముగ్గురు మేల్స్ నుండి ఒకరిని, ఇద్దరు ఫీమేల్స్ నుండి ఒకరిని, అంటే ఒక మెన్ ఒక విమెన్ తీసుకున్నాను. అండ్ సెకండ్ కేసులో 2 women అంటే మనం మేల్ని కన్సిడర్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, డైరెక్ట్గా మనం ఇలా తీసేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, సో 5 members నుంచి ఇద్దరిని కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటున్నాను. బట్ హియర్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఫర్ ఓన్లీ 1 woman అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఫర్ 2 women ప్లస్ అనే కండిషన్ తీసుకోవాలి. ఆర్ 2 ఒకేసారి జరగడానికి ఛాన్స్ లేదు. ఈ రెండిట్లో ఏదో ఒక కేసు మాత్రమే జరగచ్చు, అంటే అట్లీస్ట్ 1 woman లేదా 2 women ఆర్ కండిషన్. సో డోంట్ మల్టిప్లై హియర్, ఇట్ షుడ్ బి అడిషన్. ఐ హోప్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ హౌ దీస్ వర్క్స్. Alright, go back to your home, practice well. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please post in the comment sessions. This particular topic is very, very important. And probability ఎప్పుడైతే మీరు డీప్గా అండర్స్టాండ్ చేసుకోవాలి, క్వశ్చన్స్ని ఫాస్ట్గా సాల్వ్ చేయాలంటే you need to have a strong hold on permutation combinations, exclusively combinations. So I have done 3 sessions for permutation combinations. So before you practice or before you see these videos, please go through the permutation combination videos and try to understand how the selection process works. So it is so easy if you understand. So solving the probability questions are so easy if you understand how selection process goes. ఇక్కడ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే 50 to 70% of the work మీకు కాంబినేషన్స్లో మాత్రమే కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది. సో ప్రాబబిలిటీ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే, సో ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ నా టోటల్ అవుట్కమ్స్ ఏంటి అనేది మీరు సెపరేట్గా నోట్ చేసుకోండి. నా ఫేవరెట్ ఏంటి అనేది నా రిక్వైర్మెంట్, నా ఫేవరెట్ ఏం కావాలి అదేంటి, ఆ సెలక్షన్ ప్రాసెస్ సెపరేట్గా నోట్ చేసుకోండి. అండ్ ప్రాబబిలిటీ అనేది జస్ట్ న్యూమరేటర్ బై డినామినేటర్ ప్రాసెస్లో మనం క్లోజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. మీరు సెపరేట్గా ప్రాబబిలిటీని ఇక్కడ లర్న్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరమే లేదు. సో యూ హ్యావ్ టు బి రియలీ గుడ్ at combinations. If you have any questions, please post in the comment sections. See you in the next class. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Google IT Support Professional Certification course. This is Vinay speaking with you. So in the last previous session we discussed about what is system administration, what are the roles and responsibilities of a system administrator. Today I would like to discuss about directory services. Any IT industry you name, as a IT expert, you should be aware about this directory services. Now there are a lot of directory services right now in the market. Today I would like to talk about one of the most popular directory service from Microsoft, which is called as Active Directory. So apart from Active Directory, so we have other directory services like LDAP, Open LDAP. Okay, so but today's session is completely dedicated to this directory services, Active Directory part 1. Now what is actually mean by directory? Now directory is nothing but the one which contains some information, like maybe your book, you're writing something in your book, that book is nothing but a directory. A telephone directory. So what is the use of telephone directory? It maintains the complete information, the phone numbers of each and every individual. So which is very simple, easy to search, because everything is organized in a proper hierarchical organized manner. So that is called as a directory. Now before I discuss in detail about this Active Directory, let's talk about something called as topologies. Now what do you mean by topology? Topology means the layout, the design, the architecture, how your computers are connected. Now there are two types of topologies are there. The first one, I am talking about logical topologies. The structure which we cannot see, the layout, the architecture of your network which we cannot see. Two types of logical topologies. So as you can see on the slide, first one, it is called as a workgroup model. It is also known as a peer-to-peer model. The second one, it is known as domain model. It is also known as client-server model. As an IT expert, to manage servers, first of all, you should be aware about these two things, topologies. I will try to discuss in detail what are the differences, advantages and disadvantages between these two. Now if you are comfortable with these two, then directory services knowledge will be very clear to you. Let us talk about first one, workgroup model. As already I told you, workgroup means it is a peer-to-peer model. Peer-to-peer means each and every computer will be acting as individual computer. One computer will not depend on another computer. Like in the old days, all the network used to be in workgroup environment. Okay, let's discuss first in detail what is workgroup. So let's go to the slide and discuss what is this workgroup. Workgroup model. I hope all of you know how to create user accounts. Maybe you have created so many times so many user accounts in your computers. If not, I will be showing you anyhow in the next sessions how to create a user. Let's say this is your computer. in your home. In your home computer, you created a user, and your username, let's say for example your name is something like Smith. So you created a user with your name, example like Smith. Let's say this computer name is 1. Maybe I am your neighbor. This is my computer. My computer name is 2. And I created a user with my name, example like John. Now one fine day, this Smith, he came to this John's home. He want to use this computer, but Smith doesn't know this John username or password. So what he is trying? He is trying to enter his username. So Smith came to John computer and he is trying to log in. Can he log in? Answer would be he cannot log in. Now what is the reason here? There are so many reasons. You are saying two different locations. Maybe they are not connected. Even though they are connected together, Smith cannot log into system 2, John's computer, because by default all these computers will be in work group model. Now what is work group model? How do you define it? Work group means it is collection of computers, a bunch of computers connected together. Now where we can share the resources, like sharing resources from one computer to another computer, you can share the resources. But every computer will have a separate database. I will repeat my sentence again. So what is work group? Work group, it is a network where computers are connected, but every computer will have a separate database. That means if I create a user account in system 1, this user account will be stored in system 1 local database called as SAM database. SAM stands for Security Accounts Manager. Now if I create a user account in system 2, now where is this system 2 details are stored, user details? In system 2 local hard disk, SAM database. That means every computer will have this database called as SAM, Security Accounts Manager. Now when the Smith is trying to log in, a protocol called as NTLM, New Technology LAN Manager. This protocol checks the database. This is called as authentication protocol. Authentication means the one which checks the credentials. Now this protocol is checking the credentials of Smith. Now are they available in system 2? No. If system 2 doesn't know where is Smith, now can he log in? He cannot log in. Now I want Smith to log into system 2. Smith should use system 2. So what I have to do? I have to create a user account for Smith in system 2. If I create user, now can he log in? Now he can log in. Now this is what is work group. Maybe for example, maybe John, vice versa. John came to system 1. John want to log in here. Now John, can he log into system 1? He cannot log in, because John details are not found in system 1. I want John to log in. So what I have to do? I have to create a user account for John. Now he can log in. Maybe I have third machine. This is system 3. I want John as well as Smith to log into system 3. What I have to do? First I have to create a user account John and Smith. Now they both users can log into system 3. This is what is work group. Now this is a simple example. Maybe in your home purpose I explained. Let's talk about a corporate level. Here I will take more than 2 computers. 4 machines I am using. More than 2. Now this is a small office where all computers are connected to a switch. Already in the network fundamentals you talked about switches, everything. For time being, switch is a centralized device, network centralized device, which connects all computers together. Now my system names are like this: system 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now 4 computers, how many number of employees? 4 employees. 4 number of employees. Now whenever an employee come to the office as the IT administrator, what is your responsibility? Is to create a user account, which I will show you in the next sessions how to create a user. But for time being, I will create the user. Now generally username will be employee name, like your name, my name, like in the previous example John Smith, that is the usernames. Now here in this example, I will take some simple names like U1, maybe U2, U3, U4. 4 employees are there working on 4 computers, everything is working fine. One fine day what happened is system 1 is down, system 1 is not working. It might be any problem, hard disk issue, RAM, hardware issue, software issue, it doesn't matter. What is the what I am trying to say, system 1 is down because of some unknown reasons. Now IT administrator has to fix the problem, so he will try to fix. But user 1, he is asking admin, system 1 is down, so do I need to go home? Administrator is saying no, you don't need to go home. System 2 is free, user 2 will be coming late. When he is coming, you use system 2. This employee first person U1 came to system 2. U1 want to use system 2, but U1 with what username he will log in? With his username, because I don't know my colleague's username. Do you know your colleague's username? No. So he will try to log in with his name like U1 and his password. Can he log in? Answer is no, because that is what I explained in the previous example. Every computer will have a separate database. In a workgroup environment, every computer will have a separate database. By default, all computers will be workgroup. That means you just purchased bunch of computers, you install the OS, you connected them to switch. It is a network, but what type of network? A workgroup network. Workgroup means every computer will be acting as individual machine. Every computer will have a separate database. So this user 1, he can't log into system 2. If user 1 want to log in as administrator, what you have to do? You have to create a user account for U1. Now can he log in? Now he can log in. Maybe after some time U2 came, because already I said he is coming late to the office. Directly he went to system 2, but system 2 is busy. Administrator is saying sit in system 3. User 3, his office work is done, he left home. So U2 want to work here. But can he work here? No, he can't log in here, because U2 details are not found in system 3. So what administrator will do? He create a user account for U2. Now he can log in. Administrator got an idea. I want all my 4 employees to use all 4 computers. All 4 users should be able to log into all 4 computers. So what administrator will do now? He will create 4 user accounts in system 1. He will create 4 user accounts in system 2. 4 user accounts here, 4 user accounts here. Now can he log in? Can everyone can log into any computer? Yes. Total how many accounts I created? 16. 4 employees, but 16 accounts. How many computers? 4 computers. Not an issue. Maybe one user 1 minute, I will spend my 16 minutes of time. I will waste my 16 minutes of time. I will create these 16 user accounts. Let us say network is expanding, company is developing, more projects are coming. More projects, 4 employees, that manpower is not enough. What company will do? Organization will hire more number of employees. So what happened is company developed, in the place of 4, this is just number is just an example. In place of 4, I have 400 computers. How many number of employees? 400 employees. That now this is a big company. Okay, large organization. 400 computers, 400 employees. What is our aim? All 400 employees should be able to log into all 400 computers. So what I want? All 400 employees should log into system 1. So I have to create how many accounts? 400 accounts. How many minutes? 400 minutes. How many hours? Maybe 5 to 6 hours I have to waste here. I have to repeat the same thing here. Same thing in system 3, same thing in system 4. Is my work done? No. Because how? Because I don't have 4, I have 400 computers. So in all 400 computers, I have to create 400 users. So total how much? 1,60,000 accounts I have to create. 1,60,000 minutes I have to spend. How many hours? You don't need to calculate now. How many days? Will it be completed in a week? It might take a month. It might take a year also. That means you are selected as an IT administrator in this organization. Now what is your first year job? Creating user accounts. 24/7, 365 days, you have to go on creating the users. Now do you want to work like this? Now no one wants to work like this. This is a hard working administration. This is a typical administration. Maybe you wasted your 1 year, maybe you are trying to create the users. Employee is asking, I need a software. Who has to provide the software? IT administrator. Now will you tell him, this year I am busy, next year I will provide? No, this is not how you want to work. Immediately you should be able to provide him whatever he is asking. Maybe you created one or that many number of users. One fine day user forget the password. This is one of the most common thing happens in the organization. Someday, every day, one of the employee will forget his password. Now who has to reset the password? Administrator. Now where I will reset? For example, U1, he forgot his password. If I reset password in system 1, will it automatically affect in all computers? No. You have to go to all computers. How many computers? 400 computers. Maybe you have to waste your next 6 months resetting only passwords. Now this is not how we want to work. Now what I am trying to show you in this example, this work group model, the first model which I told you, peer-to-peer model, this is not recommended for big companies. Small company, 4 computers, 4 employees, go ahead, work group. But when the network size is getting increased, work group model is not recommended. This is where administrators will be thinking to convert their work group model to second type of model called as domain model, which is also known as client server model. So what is this disadvantage here? Technically speaking, in work group model, we don't have centralized database. We don't have centralized management. We don't have centralized authentication also. I'll explain all these 3 in detail. For time being, now centralized database. Are we creating user accounts only in one machine? Now we are going to every computer. Are we resetting password only from one machine? We are going to every machine. So management, database is not centralized in work group. So this is not recommended for big companies. That's the reason every company administrators will convert their existing work group network to domain. What is domain? Domain, it is also known as client server model. Client server model means we will be having employee computers. Apart from all these employee computers, what we will have? We will have a server. Which is connected to this network. Server means, server is nothing but it is a robust computer with good hardware which provides services, which is having server operating system. Like there are so many things I can tell about a server. Server is a robust machine with good hardware which provides services running with server operating system like 2012, 2008, etc. Apart from all these things, according to today's class, directory services session, server is nothing but the one which provides, the one which maintains the complete information about your network. It stores everything, all the users, computers, printers, groups, all your network infrastructure you want to store in one place, you can store. That we are calling it as a server today. Okay, for example, in the slide, so I have how many number of employees? So if you check the slide once, so we are saying we are taking an example of 400 employees. Now where I will create all the users, I don't go to every computer and create. I will create all the user accounts here. It might be 4 users or 400 users, everything I will create in the server. Not only users, computers details, printers, all your network information I will store in one place, and that computer we will call it as a server. This is called as centralized database. I don't go to every computer and create the users. I will create everything in the server. I don't go to every computer and manage the users. For example, user is saying, user 4 is or user 1 is saying, I forgot my password, administrator. Now, as administrator, I will not go to system 1 or system 2 to reset the password. I will reset the password from the server. So, management is centralized management. Even authentication is centralized. Authentication means anyone want to log in, they have to contact the server. User want to log in from system 2, you reach server. User want to log in from system 3 or system 4, you have to contact server. In work group model, we talked about a protocol NTLM, authentication purpose. Now, this is domain model. Domain model authentication protocol in Windows will be Kerberos. It is authentication protocol. So, I will discuss in detail what is this Kerberos in a minute. For time being, user want to log in from any computer in the office, he has to contact the server. And how he is going to contact the server? With the help of this protocol called as Kerberos. Now, this is what is actually domain model. I hope all of you clear like what is the difference between work group and a domain. Now, let me repeat again. Work group means it is a peer-to-peer model. Every computer will act as individual machine. Now, what are the disadvantages there? No centralized database, no centralized management. Work will be heavy. More number of computers, large network, work group model is not recommended. Big companies, they will choose domain model. What is domain model? Domain model, it is also known as client server model. That means you will have employee machines, end users. At the same time, what else you will have? You will have a server. What is server? It is a robust machine with good hardware. What is the use of server? In a domain model, server is the one which is going to store all the users information, all the computers information, all the printers information in one single centralized database. That is the advantage of domain model, centralized database. If database is centralized, what is the benefit? Management is also centralized. Management means I want to reset a password of a user. I don't go to every machine to redo that. From server I will do that. Even authentication is centralized. Anyone want to log in, you have to contact the server. Not only authentication, even authorization. Authorization means maybe you have a printer in the office. Who should take the printouts? Who should not take the printouts? Who should log into the computer? Who should not log into the computer? Giving access, denying access, everything you can do it from the server. That is nothing but authorization. Now, right now, what is our aim? How do you configure this server? The one which stores all the employees' details, the one which maintains all the users and computers of from one place. How do you configure that server? That is our topic today. So, if I want to configure a server like that, I need some services called as directory services. Okay. As I said, directory means the one which contains some information. Okay. So, information like what? So, information means users information, computers information, printers information, all this information I want to store in one computer. I need directory services. Now, Windows has so many directory services. Okay. So, from 2000 from NT actually. So, let us go back to slide once. So, Microsoft introduced directory services at the time of NT. Okay. So, in NT first time the directory services is called as NTDS, New Technology Directory Services. NT is nothing but the server OS operating system. After NT, next we have 2000 OS, 2000 server OS. In 2000 server operating system, the directory services is known as Active Directory. Okay, Active Directory. We'll shortcut, we'll call it as AD. In 2003 also, we have Active Directory. The next server operating system, 2008, the name has been changed to Active Directory Domain Services. Right now in 2012, ADDS. Active Directory Domain Services. These are the this is the history of directory services in Windows. So first in NT, New Technology Directory Services, NTDS. Now name is saying New Technology. Right now New Technology is Active Directory Domain Services. Okay, that means for example I have a computer. I want to make this computer as a server. What is server? According to today's session, server means it is the one which stores all the users information, all the computers information, all the printers information, all the groups information. It has to store everything. If I want to configure a server like this, I need directory services here. If your operating system is Windows, Microsoft, what directory services we have to install based on the operating system? They are the different directory services. So in our practicals, we will be working on this 2012 operating system. That means what I have to install here is ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. If I install Active Directory Domain Services here, this server is called as, this computer is called as a server. It has a technical name. We don't just call it as a server. The computer where these directory services are configured, Active Directory Domain Services, that computer technically called as domain controller. Shortcut we will call it as DC, domain controller. What is domain controller? Domain controller is the computer where Active Directory services are configured. What is Active Directory service? Active Directory service, it is used to store users, computers, printers, groups, all this information in one centralized database you want to store. You need service called as Active Directory. Now we will talk about in detail about this Active Directory now. So let's see the definition. What is this Active Directory? Okay, let me show the definition of this Active Directory once. Okay, just go back to the slide once so you can see what is the definition of Active Directory. So Active Directory stores information about users, computers, groups, all your network resources you want to store in one place. We need this service called as Active Directory. And the computer where Active Directory is configured, that computer we are calling it as a domain controller. So what is domain controller? Domain controller, it will have all this information, the users, computers, everything, and also it has some services which are used for authentication, like services like Kerberos. In the previous example I talked about this Kerberos. So whenever user want to log in, he will contact the server with the help of this protocol called as Kerberos. And what are the benefits of Active Directory? These are the benefits. Everyone will log in by contacting server using this protocol Kerberos. So using Active Directory, you can centralize or decentralize the management. You can store everything in one server, maybe more number of computers, more number of users. You can divide the database also, like your head office one server, branch office one server. You can divide that. So resources can be divided. To centrally organize and manage user computers, like you want to store everything in an organized manner, you can do that. Even you want to locate your network services, easily you can locate. So, these are the advantages of Active Directory. Now, Active Directory has some structures. Let us see what are the structures. So, in the slide you can see, so we have different types of structures. Structures of AD. First we have a structure called as domain. The next structure is called as tree, forest, site. These are the four major structures of Active Directory. Today we are here to talk about the first one, domain. In Active Directory, the first structure is called as domain. Now, how do you define this domain? Domain, it is a logical, secure, administrative boundary. This is nothing but domain. Domain is a logical boundary, secure boundary, administrative boundary. So, for example, here on the slide, so let us take an example to understand what is this domain. So, let us say I have a computer here. I want to configure this computer as a domain controller. If I want to configure a domain controller, I have to install Active Directory domain services, which we will see practically tomorrow how to configure in the next session. Okay, Active Directory domain services. Okay, so now if I install this Active Directory domain services, that is a domain controller, automatically a logical boundary will be formed. This logical boundary, we will call it as domain. Whenever I draw a triangle, that means I am talking about a domain. Domain is represented with the help of triangle. Domain has a name, example like this. So, for example, let us say some xyz.com. Your company name .com, that is nothing but domain name. It is called as DNS domain name actually. A DNS domain name is nothing but a name with an extension. Microsoft.com, Facebook.com, Google.com, all these names are called as a DNS domain names. So, domain must and should have a domain controller. So, you can see there. So, I have a domain controller DC and the domain xyz.com. So, domain is a logical boundary. In this boundary, I have a DC. So, how I configure the DC? By installing ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. Now, can I have more than one server? Yes, you can have. But the first server I created is called as primary. The next server in the same domain, it is going to act as backup. Now, what is the use of domain controller? You create users, computers, printers, groups, everything. Accidentally primary is down, no need to worry, still you can run your office with the help of backup. That is the use of backup. There will be only one primary in the domain, but you can have multiple backups. So, maximum of 1200 backups you can have. But in this 1200, some servers can be read and write, some servers can be read only. Read only generally for branch offices. Maybe you have a head office. In the branch office, you need a server, you can configure. But the branch office no need a read and write server. We will configure a read only server, which I will talk about that one in detail later. Now, apart from this domain controllers, we will have employee computers also in the office. Everyone want to log in, they will contact the server to log in. Whatever the users computers I create will be stored in a database called as ntds.dat. This is called as Active Directory database file. This file, it is stored in this computer C drive, which I will show you practically in the next session where you can find out this file. This is a database file. Database means which contains all the users details. Whenever I create a user account in the server DC, that users will be stored in this ntds.dat file. Okay. So this is what is domain and a domain controller. So let me repeat again. So domain means it is a logical boundary. Domain controller means it is a server. Now how do I configure the server? By installing the service called as Active Directory Domain Services. If I install Active Directory Domain Services, that particular computer is called as a domain controller. And by installing domain controller, you will be configuring domain also. Every domain will have a domain name, example like xyz.com, abc.com, microsoft.com, a company name with extension. It can be .com, .net, .in, whatever it is. Okay. So this is about Active Directory introduction, directory services part 1. So in the next session, we will be talking about how to configure this directory server, how to create the users, how users will log in. All these things we will discuss in our next session. I hope the session is very informative to you. So directory services. So thank you everyone. So this is Vinay Kumar signing off. Thank you all. Hi everyone. So welcome back to Google IT Support Professional Certification course. So this is Vinay speaking with you. So in the last session we talked about directory services, introduction to one of the most popular directory services in the market, Active Directory from Microsoft. So today also we will be continuing with the same thing. So we will see practically how to configure these directory services, how to create a domain controller, how to create the users in this directory service, how users will log in, how you can join computers to this directory. So all these things we'll see practically today. So for my practicals, I'll be using the operating system 2012 server operating system. Okay. So let me revise one more time. So in the previous session, what we talked about Active Directory. So if you check the slide once, so we have a computer. So in the slide you can see you have a computer. So I want to make this computer as a domain controller. So domain controller is the computer where you can store all your users, computers, printers, groups, everything. All the information you want to store in one computer. That computer is called as domain controller. So in that domain controller, we'll have directory service called as Active Directory Domain Services. So if I install Active Directory Domain Services, that server technically we will call it as a domain controller. So which is used to create users, computers, printers, etc. Now when I configure domain controller, automatically a logical boundary will be created which is called as a domain. A domain will have a domain name, so like xyz.com, facebook.com, so on, etc. Okay. Now how to create this, that we will see practically. Lab. So how to configure domain controller, the Active Directory server domain controller. What are the requirements? We need to have some basic requirements first. Like this computer, I want to make it as a DC. First, operating system. Example, server operating system. Because if I want to configure a DC, I need to install Active Directory Active Directory will be possible only on the DC, only on the server operating system. Now you can't install Active Directory in Windows 10 or Windows 7 or Windows 8. It has to be server OS. That is the first basic requirement. Second requirement, a server must and should have a IP address. So we'll see, I will assign the IP address. Next we'll install Active Directory, ADDS. And we have to make sure this server is having in the C drive minimum of 4 GB free space. These are the basic requirements we need to configure a server domain controller. How to configure, let us see. So I already have a computer here. You can see this is my 2012 server operating system. Let's say this is just now I installed the OS here. I don't have any icons on the desktop. I'll try to get the icons on the desktop. So not to get the icons on the desktop, so I'll move my mouse cursor to the left corner. You will get start. I'll type the word icons. I'll click on settings. The second option you can see, show or hide common icons on the desktop. What icons I want, I'll check the boxes. I'll click OK. Right now you can see on the desktop some icons available. First, right now this is a new machine. I just purchased the machine. I just installed the OS with server operating system in my organization, because I want to configure this machine as a server domain controller with Active Directory domain services. But if I go to computer, right click properties, by default all the computers will be workgroup. I hope you remember in the directory services part 1 we talked about differences between workgroup and domain. I said by default all computers are workgroup. So you can see this computer is also in workgroup model. By default every computer is workgroup. You name it, any operating system. It can be Windows 2012, it can be Windows 10, server OS, client OS, doesn't matter. Okay. Now I have two machines actually. So let me go to my first machine. So you can see this is a wallpaper. This is already was a domain controller. I already pre-configured here. Two machines right now I have right now in my practical. But if I go to computer properties of this one, now what it is saying? Domain. It is showing as domain. This is system 1. My system 1 is already my DC, but if I go to my system 2, this is a workgroup. Right now we will make system 2 as a DC. We will assume system 2 is a new server purchased in the office. How to make that machine as a DC, Active Directory server? Let us see. If I want to install Active Directory, first requirement is server OS. You can see already server OS is there. Now next I have to assign the IP. Let's assign the IP. In order to assign the IP on the desktop, network properties, change adapter settings, this NIC card properties, IPv4 properties. So by default this will be the position of the computer. So I'll select the second option, use the following IP. So what IP I want, I'll enter. Okay, for example, so let me just log into my machine once. Okay, machine is getting restarted, so it is going to take some time. So when the process is happening, so I'll show you how to configure this domain controller. After that, we will see how to configure, how to join computers in the domain. So, how to join clients, how to join member servers. Like you have server, apart from server you will have user machines also. How to join those user machines we will see. So, in the domain controller, administrator will be working. Now, where employees will be working? So, employees will be working on user computers. So, those computers are called as clients, member servers. So, client means a computer running with client operating system, and it should be joined in the domain. A computer which is joined in the domain, if that computer operating system is client operating system, that computer is called as client. So, in the domain controller we will create all the users, which I will show you practically how to create. So, these users will be login from this clients. Apart from clients, so domain also will have member servers. Now, member servers are also computers in the domain, which are part of domain, but operating system will be server operating system. Now, what is the difference between these clients and member servers? It's very clear, OS is the different. Clients means client OS, member server means server operating system. But the major difference is member servers are used to reduce the load on the domain controllers. Maybe I want to add some additional features like DNS, DHCP. In the coming classes we will learn. I can configure everything in the DC. But in the organization, if more number of employees are there, the responsibility of the domain controller, the load on the domain controller increases. If the load increases, what happens? If everyone is trying to log in, they have to contact the server domain controller. The load increases, server might be down. If the server is down, so no one can log in. In order to reduce the load on the domain controllers, we will configure some servers called as member servers. So, which we will see practically how to configure them. So, let me log in to my machine once. Okay, once it's taking time, so system has been rebooted. So, once the machine rebooted, we'll see practically how to join these clients and member servers. So, to do this practicals, I'm using a software, so where I install all this server operating systems, everything. Okay, it is going to take some time, so machines restarted. So when the process is happening, so I'll talk about user accounts, different types of users. After that, we'll see practically how to configure this domain controller. Okay, there are two types of user accounts in a IT industry. So first user account is called as a local user. Okay, second user is called as a domain user. So local users means which will be created in the local machines. Generally they will be coming into workgroup environment. In a workgroup environment, the user accounts what we create is local users. Now these users, they can't log into another machines. Like let's say for example, I created a user account in a computer like XYZ user. Now that user, he can log in only from that machine. That type of user account is called as local user. Now this type of users generally used in workgroup environment. Small network, you create local users. But already in the last session we came to know, in the previous session, domain users, like domain model is recommended. Now in the domain model, the user accounts we created, they are called as domain users. So these users will be created in Active Directory server. The user accounts what we create in Active Directory, those users are called as domain users. Now what is the specialty of these domain users? Domain users can log into any computer in the domain. Maybe you have 100 plus computers in the office. If they all are joined into domain, they can log into any computer. So that type of users are called as domain users. So it's recommended to go with domain model because database will be centralized, management will be centralized. So if the machine started, I'll show you practically how to configure that server. So for time being, so if you check this slide, you'll find out the difference between client and member servers. Okay, client means a computer joined in the domain, running with client operating system. Client operating systems means Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP. Now member servers means computers joined in the domain with server operating system like 2012, 2008, 2003, etc. Now in this diagram you can see I have a domain controller, domain name example.ms.com. Now if I want to join some computers into the domain, which we'll see practically, I want to configure clients. Which machines I have to use from these four? Right now you can see these are bunch of 4 machines are there. Now from these 4 machines, if I want to configure clients, I'll be using this Windows 8 and Windows 7. Now if I join this Windows 8 and Windows 7, now these 2 computers are called as clients. Why? Because the operating system is client operating system. Now if I join remaining 2 computers, so these computers are called as member servers, because operating system is server operating system. Now joining a client, member server process is same, only the difference is the operating system. Okay, we'll see practically how to configure. And now, so user accounts. So 2 types of user accounts we have. You got local users and domain users. Now local users means, as I said, which are created in local database. Now they are most commonly used in workgroup environment. Now these users can log into only that computer. They can't log into every machine in the office. But domain users, they are created in Active Directory database. So what is the specialty of these domain users? They can log into any computer in the domain. So you talk about any computer, they can log in. So that type of users are called as domain users. Okay. So this is what clients, member servers, user accounts, local users and domain users. So I think my system has restarted. So let us see how to configure. a domain controller. Okay, this is a operating system running with 2012. 2012 OS. You'll get the desktop in a minute. So as I said, first you have to assign the IP address. So in order to assign the IP, so I'll use the network icon on the desktop. In a few seconds we'll get desktop icons, everything. I'll right click on this network icon, properties. So there I need to assign IP address. So I'll take an example, IP address 10.series for my practical, and I'll assign the IP address 10.IP address. Now before this operating system 2012, Microsoft has 2008 operating system. Now if I want to install Active Directory in previous operating system like 2008, so I used to go to run, there I used to run a command called as dcpromo, but this command will not work now. So we will see what is the reason. Right now I'll click on change adapter settings. So IPv4 settings. Okay, we'll click on IPv4, we'll click on properties. Let me try again. So network properties, IPv4 properties. Okay, by default it is the position. So we'll enter the IP. So for example, I'm using 10.0.0.2 subnet mask default. Preferred DNS same as IP address, because I want to make this machine as a server, a domain controller. Preferred DNS, IP address will be same. Now installing Active Directory. As I said, in the old days we used to go with dcpromo, domain controller promotion, but this command will not work now, because it is clearly saying Active Directory installation wizard is relocated to server manager. Now you can't install Active Directory using that command, that was in the old days. Now if I want to install Active Directory now, I have to use a console called as server manager. But what is this server manager? So if you go to start, you will see the first icon, that is server manager. Now in this server 2012, you want to install any service which will learn in the future, maybe web server or DNS, okay, or FTP. Every service you can install from this server manager. By default it will be open when you log into your machine. So you can see this is server manager. Now what I want to do, I want to install Active Directory. So I'll click on add roles and features here. So once I click on add roles and features, I'll be getting a new console. So in that console, I have to select what features I want to install. You want to install Active Directory, you can install Active Directory. Now the server operating system, apart from Active Directory, also has DNS, okay, also has web servers, also has a lot of services are there. So you can add whatever you want. So for time being, I'll click next. Leave the options default, click next, until you see the page server roles. Now in this page server roles, you can see Active Directory domain services. We can check that box because I want to install Active Directory. Already we came to know what is the importance of Active Directory. I'll click add features. We'll go to confirmation page. We'll click install. So once I click on install, installation starts. In the back server manager, you can see a flag. This is called as notification flag. So in this notification flag, you will get notifications. Whenever you try to install any service, a notification will come here. So the process is not yet started. Once started, you will get a notification saying installation has started. So once installation started, you can see now it is saying installation started. Now it is going to take some time, depends on your hardware, depends on your RAM, processing speed, the performance of your operating system depends, right? So you can see installation started. Once installation is completed, in the notification flag you will get a yellow color triangle symbol. Okay, installation will take a minute. So you will find out yellow color triangle. So you click on that yellow color triangle, so that notification will tell me installation is succeeded, Active Directory installation is completed. You can promote this machine as your domain controller. Now what is the use of domain controller? After creating domain controller, I can create all my user accounts in my server. I can maintain all my computer accounts, printers, management, database, everything can be centralized using domain controller. So we need to wait till this installation is done. And once installation is completed, if you go to tools here, you will find out Active Directory consoles. You can see Active Directory consoles already came. Now before installing Active Directory, these consoles will not be available. These are available because I installed Active Directory. So installation succeeded, you can see. As I said, you got a yellow color triangle. Promote this server to a domain controller. Now you got so many options here. So right now I want to configure a fresh domain controller. I will go with last option, add a new forest. Okay, a domain name. So it will be generally your company name. So I will give a name something like mydomain.com. Some random name like microsoft.com, facebook.com, some domain name you have to give. So once you give the domain name, so you click next. Extension should be there. It can be .com, .net, .in, whatever it is. The next wizard is going to show you so many options. We'll leave the options default. So I will talk about DNS in the coming classes. Very important one. Okay, so we'll enter a password. Now this password is called as repair mode password. Like if in case in the future Active Directory is corrupted, already have a backup, you want to restore the backup, at that time you will be using this password called as directory services repair mode password. So I entered this password, I will click next. So this message is regarding DNS. So right now I can ignore this one because we are not talking about DNS today. So once I click next, you will get a NetBIOS name. NetBIOS name means it is a flat name without any extensions. Your domain name is mydomain.com. NetBIOS name will be mydomain. So I will click next. So next window is regarding the database locations. Where is this Active Directory database is stored? In the domain controller C drive Windows NTDS folder. By default this folder NTDS is not available. So once I promote this server, then only it is available. So I will click next. You can review all the options here. What are the options you have selected from the first page? Checking prerequisites. Here sometimes you will get errors. If any problem, a red color cross appears at the top, which is clearly saying what is the error. Now why I might get an error? Maybe IP address is not assigned. Maybe administrator doesn't have a username or password. In these cases you might be getting an error. Right now if you check, I got a green color tick mark there. So you see this green color tick mark, that means everything is successfully passed. All I need to do is click on install. Now once I click on install, if you read the last line, server automatically reboots. Now once server reboots, right now what is this machine? This is a Active Directory server, a domain controller. Now installation will take time, a couple of minutes. To save our time, I already made my first machine as a domain controller. We'll verify in this first computer. So let me log into this computer. Now this computer is already my domain controller. Now how can I check this is a domain controller or not? Right now this is a wallpaper. By seeing wallpaper you can't judge this is a DC. Now in the previous step, once I install, system rebooted. Once system rebooted, this machine, how can I check this computer is a domain controller or not? I'll go to run, command prompt, cmd, okay. Now in this command prompt, I'll type a command called as net accounts. Once I hit enter, what it is saying primary. You see primary here, that means this is a domain controller. Primary means domain controller. This is a successful domain controller. And if you check the domain name, computer properties, okay, computer right click properties, the domain name, okay, zoom.com, that is my domain name here. But previously by default what will be here, work group, but right now we made this machine into domain, a domain controller. And you can even check Active Directory database also. If I open computer, C drive, Windows, you will have a folder called as ntds. In that folder ntds, you will have a file called as ntds.dat. This file is called as Active Directory database file. Active Directory database means if I create any users, computers, anything related to my domain, my infrastructure will be stored in this file. Now this is how you configure a domain controller. Now how to create a user, let us see. Now this is my domain controller. I want to create a user account here. I'll go to start, or you can directly open your server manager, tools. You have a console called as Active Directory, users and computers. Right now what type of users we are creating is domain users. So if I open this console, Active Directory users and computers, this is the console. That means a new employee came to the office. Whenever an employee comes to the office, what is the administrator responsibility? To create a user account. So that is what I am doing. One of the new employee came to the office. I am asking him which department you are from. Okay, sales department. This is my name. So let me create a user account for you. So I'll expand the domain name, users, right click users, new user. Username, example, let's say U1. Generally, username will be employee name. I entered U1 means simple name. Generally, it will be something like this, Smith. That is the employee name. The Smith is the new employee in the office. For Smith, I am creating a new user. I'll give him a password. I'll share this password to Smith. By default, this box is checked. So I'll uncheck that box. I'll click next, finish. This is how I create a user, Smith. But from where this user will work? Will he work in this server? No. Because this is domain controller, Active Directory server, administrator, you, IT expert, you will be working here. The end user will not work in the server. He will work from his machine. Those machines are called as clients and member servers in the domain. I already told you the difference between client and member server. Right now we will see how to join a computer in the domain. So for example, okay, so let us say, so this is your domain. In this domain, just now we created a server, domain controller. So we created a user called as Smith. Now where is this employee will work? Employee will not work here. Here administrator will work. Employee will work in the local machines, these machines like clients, member servers. But by default, all computers will be work group. You have to join this machine to domain. How to join the machines to domain so that this Smith will work? That is our practical. Let me show you how to configure this computers into domain. So in order to join this computers into domain, first we need a server called as DC. I already have my system 1, which is a DC with IP address 10.1, preferred DNS 10.1, IP, preferred DNS. Now I want to join system 2 into domain so that Smith can work here, which will be work group by default. I will make it as a member server. So IP address I will assign to, preferred DNS I will make it as 1, my server IP. Let us see how to join this machine into domain. So this is your DC system 1. Okay, system 1 DC, domain name zoom.com. I went to system 2, second machine. Let's say this is a new machine. It can be Windows 10, Windows 2012, anything. Any computer you want to join into domain, procedure is same. Right now my example I am using 2012 OS only. Okay. So first I have to check the IP address. Now according to the diagram which I have drawn previously, according to that I will assign the IP. IP is 2. What is my preferred DNS here? My server IP 1. Now if I want to join this machine into domain, I don't need to install Active Directory. Active Directory is present only in the DC. Now this is user machine. So computer properties, this is how you join. Change settings, click change. By default all computers are work group, select domain. What is your domain name? In my example lab, I am using domain name as zoom.com. So I'll click OK. It is asking credentials, credentials of system 1, my DC credentials. I'll enter that credentials, administrator, password, I'll enter. Once I click OK, I'll get a message, welcome to zoom.com domain. Now this computer is part of domain. Restart is mandatory. So once I click on restart, machine reboots. Once machine rebooted, this computer will be part of domain. Now what is the use of this computer? Now I created user account Smith, right? Now that user account Smith, now he can log in from this computer system 2. So if I go back to my system 1 once, we already created a user Smith, we will log in with that user. Okay, for timing let me create another user, one more user. Okay, this name, a new employee, let us say for example John. I will give a password to John. Done. Now where I created all these user accounts, system 1 DC, my server. Now from where these users will work? From system 2. So we went to system 2. We will try to log in as John or Smith from the system 2. Okay, as this server operating system, it is booting slow. So generally if it is Windows 10 or Windows 8, within fraction of second system will be rebooted. So you will get the login page. I will press Ctrl Alt Delete. So who want to log in here? Smith want to log in. I gave a password to Smith. So once I hit enter, Smith logged into his machine, and whatever the work he has been assigned to, he will be doing that one. That's how you can work on this domain model. So that is how we can configure domain controllers, we can configure clients, member servers, we can create the user accounts. So I hope the session is very informative to you. Directory services part 2, where we talked about configuring servers, user accounts, joining computers. So when we meet in the next session, directory services part 3, I'll be showing some important things like group policies, how to configure policies for your organization. So that will be end of your today's session. I hope the session is very informative. So thank you everyone. So this is Vinay Kumar signing off. Thank you all. Hi everyone, welcome back to Google IT Support Professional Certification course. So this is Vinay Kumar speaking with you. So in the previous session, so we talked about directory services. So we came to know how Active Directory is important in an organization. So Active Directory, it is one of the most popular directory service. So in the previous session we have seen how to implement the directory server domain controller, how to create the users, how to join computers into the domain, how users will log into their machines. So all these things we have seen. So today I'll be showing you practically how you can manage users and computers using the directory server, Active Directory server domain controller. So I'll show you maybe sometimes users will forget their passwords. So you don't need to go to those computers to reset the passwords. You can do it from your directory server. How to do that we will see. Okay, beyond that we will learn so many things today. So centralized management, how you can manage your users from one machine, that is your domain controller. Now let's go back to our server operating system, domain controller, and see what we can do with the help of this domain controller. So let's go back to these practical ones. Okay, so if you see the screen, you can see our server operating system. Like yesterday we have configured this server domain controller. So if I want to create users, we'll use Active Directory users and computers. So you can open Active Directory users and computers by start, or else in the server manager tools also you can find out Active Directory users and computers. So if I open this console, like already yesterday we created like Smith, John, like I have other users like U1, U2. Now generally employee name will be the username like this. So I use some simple names for practical like U1, U2, U3. Now this U1, now we created in the server. So yesterday what we have seen, we go back to system 2, the user computer. From here user logged in. Okay, now let's say this user forgot his password. Now how can I reset this user password? I'll come back to the server. As IT administrator, you will reset the password from the server. Now user 1 is saying he forgot the password. So I'll right click on this user, reset password. So if you want to give him a password, whatever it is, you click OK. So that's how you can reset the passwords. The complete user management you can do it from the server itself. Okay, for example, so this user by default he can log into every computer. In the domain you have 100 computers, he can log into all these 100 computers. But there is a scenario where every time user come to the office, we will dedicate a cabin to him. Only he should log in from that computer. If I want to do that, if I want to restrict that user using only that PC, that means he has to use only that computer. So what I need to do, let us see. Now this user U1, by default he can log into every machine. So what I will do is, so U1 properties, account tab, log on to. By default, he can log into all computers. Now, I don't want him to log into all computers. I want to restrict him. Okay, user, whenever you come to the office, this is your cabin. You have to log in only from this computer. The following computers. Let's say computer name system 1. Add. Click OK. That means now user should be able to log in only from system 1. But I am moving to system 2, second computer. Let's see user, can he log in or not. Switch user. Now U1 came to the office. U1 want to log in. So U1 enter his username password. Once I click enter, I will get an error. What it is saying, the account is configured to prevent you from using this PC. Now you can't use this PC because your IT administrator has restricted you from using this PC. Now which PC you can use? Your cabin is system 1. Whenever you come to the office every day, you have to log in only from system 1. So that is how you can manage. Now let us take another example. Now this user U1, I want him to log into every computer. So I will go to properties back, log on to, I will remove this. Okay, log into every machine. But not every time. Office hours are there. Log on hours. So whenever user come to the office, he should be able to log in only in the office hours. Now office timings are, let us say, morning timings. Morning 8 to 4 p.m. This blue color is 24/7. User can log in anytime, any day. But I don't want him to log in 24/7, log on denied. Now at what time I want him to log in? Morning timings, Monday 8 a.m. to Friday 4 p.m. Only in these timings user is allowed to log in. If you check my computer timings, it is saying 9:36 p.m. Computer timing according to my computer is evening, for example. Okay, but we set the options as user should log in only in the morning timings. So user went to his computer, U1. He came in the evening. He is trying to log in. Can he log in? He can't log in. It is clearly saying him, your account has time restrictions. You can't log into this computer at this time. Your office timings are morning 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can log in only in that particular timings. You can't log into every computer every time. Okay, there are office timings are there. Like this, I can manage the user from the server. I can reset the passwords from the server. I can restrict the user in such a way which time he should log into the office computers, which computer he should log in. Complete management I can do it from this Active Directory server domain controller. Now beyond this, what else I can do? Okay, for example, let us say, let's take an example like ATM centers, maybe banking, net banking, online transactions. If I want to do the net banking, I need to enter my username and password. Maybe you forgot your username and password. Maybe let's say you forgot your password, you are entering wrong passwords, invalid passwords continuously, consecutively 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. What will happen? Your account will be locked. Same way, maybe ATM centers, you are trying to withdraw the money. So when you try to withdraw the money, it will ask for PIN number. Maybe you wrong enter PIN number. So again account will be locked. After 24 hours, account will be unlocked. Now why bank people enabled a policy like that? Security. Maybe it will stop from someone, unauthorized person, from misusing your details. The same thing you can do it in your office. Right now user 1, maybe he went for a break in his office. Maybe he went for a coffee, his office cafeteria. Now his colleague, he came to his computer, U1 computer. He want to log into this computer, but he doesn't know username password. He is trying different combinations. By default, he can try unlimited combinations, 100 times, 200 times. He might get the correct password. He might misuse that information on the user 1 computer. There is no security. So as an IT expert, you have to provide security to that user. Like how bank people provided you security. Like how you enter wrong passwords, account will be locked. In the same way, in your organization also you can provide that. But how to do that? Let us see. So let's go back to our server operating system domain controller again. So I want to configure for security for these users. So, in order to do that, I will go to Server Manager, Tools, I will open a console called as Group Policy Management. So, if I open this console, Group Policy Management, so we have an option called as Default Domain Policy, edit it, Computer Configuration, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings, Account Policies, Account Lockout Policy, Threshold. By default it is 0 actually, by default it will be 0. I want to restrict, if you type 3 times wrong passwords, account should be locked, any user. How much time account should be locked? 30 minutes. And all the 3 attempts should be within 30 minutes, the counter. For example, time it is saying 9:30 p.m. example. Okay, time is just an example. So, user came, he is trying to enter the wrong password, that is first attempt. After 9:30, 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock he is trying again, wrong password again. Now, will it be counted as a second attempt? No, it will be counted as a first attempt, because all 3 attempts should be within 30 minutes, that is the time period here. So, you want to right now you have done some changes. These changes are not saved by default in your domain controller. You have to manually save them. To save it, you go to run, you run a command gp update, group policy update. So, once you run this command, policy will be updated. So, if I click OK, so I will get a message updating the policy. Under that I will get a small message showing me policy has been updated successfully. Don't close this, you don't need to close that, it will get automatically closed. Now, what is the verification? Let us try to log in as U1. Right now U1 does not have any password, I keep it as a blank password for practical purpose. Now, U1 he want to log into his computer. So, he came to his machine, his desktop, U1, but he is entering wrong passwords, first attempt. So, before that I will remove the previous time settings which I configured. I gave permission to every time he can log in. So, again he is trying wrong passwords. Let me try with this user U2. Okay, first attempt, username password is incorrect. Second attempt. Okay, when he try for multiple times, like more than 3 times, so you will get a message clearly showing him your account has been locked. So, it is going to take a minute. So, once it showed as account is locked, user has to wait for 30 minutes. Either he has wait for 30 minutes or he can call the administrator. Okay, another time I typed wrong password. So, we will see what happens. We will see the message here. So, message will clearly show us what is happening. Username password is incorrect. If 3 times are done consecutively within 30 minutes, you will get a message showing here username password, the user account has been locked because you typed wrong passwords continuously. So, if it is locked, let me try one more time. So, 4th time. So, you can see you got the clear message showing your account is currently logged out, because you typed wrong passwords multiple times. You have to wait for 30 minutes, because by default we set the time as 30 minutes. You can change the times whenever you want from the server. Maybe sometimes in emergency cases, the user will call back to you. Administrator, I forgot my password. Maybe keyboard is having a problem. So, I typed wrong passwords. Please unlock my account. So at that time, so what user has to do, so once he intimated to this administrator what he will do, he will go back to the server. User 2 is the one which is locked. We will go to properties, account tab. This account is currently logged out on this Active Directory domain controller. This user account is locked. If I want to unlock the account, we will check this box. Click OK. Once I check that box, this user account is unlocked, he can log in. Even I can unlock from here also. If I go to reset passwords, you have option called as unlock account. But there is a difference between this option and the properties unlock. Now this I will use when user completely forget his password. User is saying, I don't remember my password, I forgot my password. At that time, I will unlock this password from here, user account. User is saying, I know my password, maybe caps lock is on, keyboard keys are not working, that's the reason I typed the password incorrectly accidentally. At that time, what user is requesting administrator, don't reset my password, just unlock my account. So at that time, what administrator will do, he will go to this user to right click, reset password. So if you check our server operating system here, so reset password, unlock the account. Okay, I can give him a new password and click OK. If I want to give him a new password, I will reset the password, at the same time I will unlock the account. If I don't want to reset the password, only unlock the account, I will go to properties, account tab, unlock account. So that is the difference between these two options here. Like this complete management, centralized management, you can do it everything from the server itself. Okay, now every organization will have different departments, right? Like you have sales department, IT department, marketing department. Okay, so you want to organize all these objects according to your departments, branches, you can do that. But how to do that, let us see. Okay, so in the server operating system domain controller, Active Directory users and computers, new organizational unit. I will give my department name, sales. Click OK. I will create another organizational unit. This is for marketing. Now whenever employee come to the office, I will ask him which department you are from. Okay, sales. Under sales, I will create a new user. Sales user 1. Marketing user, I will create under marketing. Marketing user 1. Okay. Now, after 6 months, you want to find out who is sales user, who is marketing user. Easily you can find out. If you open this computer, Active Directory users and computers console, if you click here, if you expand this, you can find out, okay, sales users S1, marketing users M1. Maybe already users are available here. Before this you created here. You can even move them. Maybe U1 belongs to sales. Right click him, move him to sales. Even you can drag and drop the user, U2 to marketing. Like this you can organize. Even this can have sub-OUs also. Maybe you have different departments you created. Maybe different branches are there. Let's take another example, like one more OU, Hyderabad. In Hyderabad branch, I have a new user, S2. So my head office users S1 U1, my Hyderabad user S2. Like this you can organize the objects, user accounts in your office with the help of this Active Directory users and computers. Okay. Now let us see how to create groups also. Now in this sales, I will right click, I will create a new group. Group name sales group or sales department. Click OK. You can see this multi-faced symbol. You see this multi-faced symbol, that means it is a group. Right now, if I double click this, we don't have any users here. No members are there. I'll add the members. I have S1. I got S2. Even I have U1. U1. Like this, I can add the users to the group. Now, what is the major purpose of the group means? Maybe let's say, for example, in the future, you created a folder in your server. Folder name is data. Now, this data folder every employee should access, sales employees. So, what I will do, right click, share with specific people. Now, who should access this folder? S1, S2 and U1, sales users. Instead of typing S1, S2, U1 one by one user, what I can do is I can type the group name, sales department. Now, I can't use OU here, organizational unit, I can't use it for permissions. If I want to give permissions like this sharing, I have to use the group. Now, if I click OK, share. Now, who can access this folder? The sales users can access, S1 can access, S2 can access, U1 can access. That's how you can create groups and you can share folders, give permissions in your organization with the help of these groups. Okay, and what else we can do from Active Directory? Now, if you are working on Windows servers as IT expert, you should be familiar with this console, group policy management. Any IT industry you name, if your servers are Windows, 100% your work will be on group policies also. Now, what we can do with the help of group policies, let us see. Now, here first of all, policy means settings. Settings which will help you to manage, monitor users and computers. For example, how I can manage. On sales department, I want to create a new policy. Policy name, restrict C drive access. No one in the office, if the users belong to sales department, they should not access C drive.